Spencer Christian. Hello.
Hey Kim, and the
Hey,
T-Man, Tony as well.
absolutely. You're like very snazzy today.
Well, I normally don't get all dressed up like this to go
Mm.
on your show. No disrespect to your show, but I like I like being
It's
casual.
okay. We're
But
casual on the Mark
yeah,
Thompson
but
show.
I,
Yeah.
I I'm gonna dress like this when I go on the air later
Yeah.
at ABC7. So I figured,
Yeah.
you know what, I might as well do it now. So when I get to work, I'm just ready to go.
You're ready to rock and roll. Well, you look very nice and you're ready to tell the Bay Area about all the storms. I was just mentioning it to Tony. We had the big storm overnight on the North Bay. I don't know if it was all around the Bay Area or what.
It was pretty much all around the Bay Area. I was driving home after the late news last night. It was between 12 and 12, between midnight and 12:30
Yeah.
when I was driving home on uh, across the Bay Bridge and taking 580 east
Oh,
out to where I live in
wow.
Central Valley. And there was so much puddling on the roadways. I mean, where you normally see people driving 80 miles an hour, people were
Right.
driving like 40, 35 and 40.
Yeah.
Um, it was that bad. And, you could drive into one of these little pools or puddles, and all of a sudden it felt like you were losing control. So, yeah, it rained heavily last night all across the Bay Area. We expected not much of a break this morning. We were, when I say we, I mean all of us who do the
Sure.
forecast, we're thinking maybe the heavy rain this morning would last until about at like 8 or 9, and then
Mhm.
maybe we break between 9 and about noon before the next wave of rain comes through. But the heavy rain ended earlier than that, and over here where I am right now, Castro Valley, we've got sunshine, but we do expect more rain this
Yeah.
afternoon into the evening commute, more tomorrow and Wednesday. So it's going to be a pretty good soaking this week.
So is this the beginning of it, and then we just see like a stream of steady storms lined up behind each other? Because that's what it felt like last year.
And that's exactly what it was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a series of storms lined up there. The atmospheric river we called it, which is
Right.
a pretty good way of describing it. Right now, though, Kim, it looks like this is different from last year in that we
Mm.
expect these 3 days of rain ending late Wednesday or maybe early Thursday. By the way, Thursday is first day of winter, and
Yeah.
then we expect a dry weekend, but kind of cold. Like by Bay Area standards. I mean,
Right.
daytime temperatures not getting above like 56 or 58 degrees
Oh,
for a
wow.
few days. But it does look dry Friday, Saturday, Sunday into early next week. But when we look beyond that, it's hard to forecast reliably
Mm.
beyond 10 days. We could get a nice 4 day break here, and all of a sudden boom, hit with something like the pattern we had last year,
Yeah.
or this could be a whole different kind of season. Rain 3 days, 4 days of dry, rain 3 days and 4 days of dry. That's what we would hope for, because
Yeah.
then we avoid the risk of flooding and mudsliding and all that.
Does it seem like, because I don't know when the rains started last year or when the storm started, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe it should have been before now that we saw the rain activity, because it seems like we've been dry for longer.
You're right. We did start
Yeah.
to get some significant rain in November of last year.
Yeah.
And then, as you may recall, December and January, just like
Right.
washout time. So it did start later this year. We were pretty dry all through November, like a little sprinkle here and there, but nothing significant at all. And
Oh.
now all of a sudden we've got this little deluge last night, and now what's to follow this evening and tomorrow and Wednesday will be what we call beneficial rain, meaning we don't expect continuous heavy downpours, but the rainfall totals will be significant. For example, if we're projecting rainfall totals across the Bay Area for this 3 day period to rain
Right.
about 2.5 inches down around San Jose, which doesn't usually get that much rainfall, to about 3.5 in San Francisco, which is a lot of rain for 3 days in San Francisco, to about 4.25 inches in parts of the North Bay. So
Yeah.
those are pretty significant 3 day rainfall totals.
Is if we don't get the type of winter we had last year, should we start to worry again? Because I mean, we're barely out of drought. We could
Yeah.
slide right back into that bad boy.
Oh, easily. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go 3 weeks after this week without any rain, we
Mhm.
could be sliding back towards a higher level of drought.
Yeah.
If we go a month, a full month, or not even that long, if we go 3 to 4 weeks
Mhm.
with no rain during any part of December, January, February, yeah, then
Mhm.
as the spring comes on, we could be looking at a more severe level of drought.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to say, looking at a whole season with
Yeah.
any kind of accuracy, what to expect.
Yeah.
But based on what we've been observing with the pattern up in the Gulf of Alaska, where many of our storms come from, based on what we've been observing with the ocean currents and the warmer than average sea surface temperatures,
Mhm.
which we call El Nino, based on all of that, my long term guess is that it's going to be a rainy winter, with plenty of
Oh,
rainfall. Yeah,
okay.
not the washout that we had last year, but I
Sure.
think it'll be a rainier than average season. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of focused on the Bay Area because it's where we're both located, but I guess in Southern California, they're gonna get hit as well with some
Yeah,
storms activity.
that's true. The storm that's been spinning off our coast here for the last couple of days,
Mhm.
and is bringing us our current rainfall, is going to push southward. It's moving slowly southward now, but it won't move away from the Bay Area till probably late Wednesday. And then, the LA area, well, actually from Santa Barbara down to LA and points even farther south, will probably get some pretty heavy rain from this storm. Talking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, somewhere in that range.
And what are we looking like in the Sierra?
Oh, now, right now, this isn't exactly a cold storm, but when the rain here moves eastward, eastward out to
Mhm.
the Sierra, it is going to snow. It's already snowing, in fact, in some of the elevations above 7,000 feet.
Okay.
Uh, if we get a colder storm, though, a storm with more cold air than this one contains, and if it's not moving southward but pushing inland, that's when the Sierra will get hit hard. Sierra is probably not going to get much out of this system because there's just a few waves of rain from this storm that are going to move far enough eastward to produce some light to moderate snow in the Sierra. But if
Sure.
we get one of those storms that pushes inland instead of going southward like this one is doing,
Okay.
the Sierra will get some pretty good snowpack.
All right. Well, I was thinking about you recently when Rosalind Carter passed away. And I
Mm.
know that you're a friend of the Carters. You have emceed birthday parties for them and you have a nice relationship with them. And so I'm sure that really affected you when she had passed. And so I wanted to see, and I heard that you did some work for ABC about that as well.
Yeah, I did. The Some of the senior producers at ABC News contacted me long ago when President Carter first went into hospice care
Hmm.
because they were preparing for his eventual passing. Um, and he was expected to pass before Mrs. Carter, but as it turns
Right.
out, Rosalind went first. She had dementia, as you know, and
Hmm.
apparently her condition deteriorated more rapidly than his condition. So, but yeah, I really did feel it, like deep down in my soul, because it's not like I'm so close to them that I visit their home and call them
Hmm.
on holidays and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in their company for those special occasions, like you mentioned, his 75th birthday celebration, his 95th birthday celebration, her 92nd celebration.
Mhm.
I've spent time with them on work they've done for Habitat for Humanity, not just doing interviews with them, but staying the full day through the workday as we built those houses. So I've spent enough time around them that I consider them people I care deeply about. So her
Yeah,
passing really did affect me in a personal way. Uh,
sure.
she was a remarkable woman in so many ways. I shouldn't even genderize it. A remarkable person. She
Mhm.
was, but since we're talking gender, she was the first lady to actually have an office over in the East Wing and to sit in on cabinet meetings. And President Carter always considered her one of his most trusted advisors. She was great with him on the campaign trail when he ran for president. She provided great insight to policy matters.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of talk in the news reporting about her passing, about the two of them having such a great partnership, and they did on every level. It was a partnership. They clearly loved each other deeply personally. They were like two young lovers in their 90s. You know,
Yeah.
they were, whenever I saw them together, they were always holding hands as they were taking a walk. As one of them would be answering a question, the other one would gaze lovingly into that one's eyes. You know,
Oh,
they just really had a lifelong love affair. Oh, and you mentioned the ABC News thing. So
yeah.
during all the news coverage of her passing and leading up to her funeral memorial service, um, I was involved in the ABC News streaming uh, uh, platform coverage, and got to do a lot of back and forth talk with Kira. Oh gosh, I forget her last name now.
Swisher?
What was her last name?
Was it
Kira?
Swisher?
No, not Kira Swisher, but and Terry Moran. Uh,
Okay. Was
and
it
they had other
Clapper? There's
guests.
another one named Clapper, Kira Clapper.
Yeah, Kira Clapper. Yeah, who works here locally.
Yeah.
So they were. They had other guests on as well. You know, biographers and
Yeah.
longtime political reporters. But they kept me on one day for like 3.5 hours, just sharing my
Yeah.
memories of times with the Carters, and um, my take on what their relationship was like, how important they were to each other, all that stuff. And it I just felt so honored to be a part of that. It sort of helped me, I guess, not accept, but feel a level of comfort with her passing, because I felt that she was paid the kind of tribute she deserved.
Yeah.
Does
There
that make sense? Yeah,
totally makes sense.
yeah,
You look at them and with their, out there in their 90s building homes for people that have less than they did, and they lived in this house that he built, that, Jimmy Carter built himself,
yeah,
this, little one-level ranch house from the I don't know, what was it, the '50s he built it?
yeah. Either late. I think he built it in 1961. I believe that was the year he built it.
And so, I mean, they're very modest people, they
Yeah,
don't need a lot. They have enough for them and the rest they give back. And it's so different when you look at, billionaires running for president and who else we have coming down the line here again.
or
It's
supposed billionaires.
yeah, supposed billionaires. It's just it's such a difference
Oh
of
gosh, there
who
they
the
are.
Carters are and who Voldemort is, he who shall not be named. But I just feel like it's just such a, you know, dichotomy.
Yeah, you're so right, Kim. I have had the pleasure, honor of meeting uh, and interviewing six presidents,
Mhm.
and um, Jimmy and Rosalynn Carter are the most down to earth, unassuming, unpretentious
Yeah,
people I've ever met in public life, at any level of public life, whether entertainment, sports, politics, whatever. Um,
right.
and that alone is admirable. But what's perhaps even more admirable is their lifelong commitment to serving the underserved. I mean, going way back to the 60s, when the civil rights movement was in full force, and there was all this resistance in the South, and Jimmy Carter was running for governor of Georgia in the early 70s. He was the first Southern governor to come out forcefully in favor of civil rights
Yeah,
and desegregation. The Carters left the old Baptist church they had attended for years and years in the early 70s because that church refused to accept black worshipers, and they went and fought out with some other friends, and
right.
formed this other church, the Maranatha Baptist Church, where Jimmy Carter taught Sunday school regularly up until he was about 97 years old.
Yeah,
Um, and it just shows you what kind of people they are and how they feel
totally.
about human rights
Yeah,
and human dignity. And their work with the Carter Center, beyond Habitat for Humanity and building homes, their work with the Carter Center took them into the most underprivileged pockets of poverty in the world, in
yeah,
parts of Asia and Africa and Central America. Uh, their work to fight diseases and eradicate various diseases, and I mean that they were just committed to serving humanity and recognizing the dignity of all people in a powerful, powerful way.
And they didn't do it for accolades, and they didn't do
No,
it for photo ops, and they didn't do it, because, oh, it's popular, or if we're seen building a house, if we're seen, forming our own church or supporting different races of people, then, we're going to be more popular. That's not what they were about.
Absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, I can recall vividly on a couple of occasions when they were doing building houses for Habitat for Humanity. Once I finished my quick little interview, which seemed to be an annoyance to them because
Mhm.
they wanted to do the work, not be on camera.
Yeah.
Jimmy God has said a couple of times, "You're not going to be following me around with that camera, are you?" Because he didn't want it to ever appear that they were seeking
Right.
publicity or yeah. They
Well,
were
because
just there to do the work and help these people who were going to move into this house that was being built.
it's a hard one because on one hand, we wanna see them doing that, like, it's important to know that that's who they were and that's what they were doing,
Yeah,
but on the other hand, I agree with him that if it's on camera, it takes away the why,
yeah,
right? It takes away some type of, the reason for being out there and doing it, even though it's important to document who they were.
that's
So,
exactly right. And
yeah.
it is important. The world needs to see who they are and what they're
Mhm.
and the good they're doing,
Mhm.
so it can inspire the rest of us to make a commitment like that. But at the same time, they're smart enough people to understand how
Yeah.
important that is, but they were absolutely determined not to spend time on camera talking about what they were doing or have
Yeah.
cameras following them around. They just wanted to get the work done and move on to the next house.
Well, it's one of these things where, um they had such a relationship and such a love for each other, and I expect it wouldn't surprise me if he passed very soon after she did. He's already on hospice care, so that won't be a surprise, but, when one goes, sometimes the other goes very quickly.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah,
what everyone is thinking right now,
yeah.
wondering how long will he have the will to live now that she's not there with him. You know,
Mhm.
many people who are closer to the Carters than I am, but people who know all the family members are saying that they felt that he was only able to hang on this long because he wanted to be there for her
Oh,
as long
wow.
as he could. And I'm sure
Mhm.
you heard the stories about how as their both of their conditions, health conditions, worsened or weakened, he insisted on having their beds set up so they were facing each other, and he could see her and talk
Mhm.
to her, even though during the worst times of her dementia, she
Yeah.
wasn't always aware of what was going on or understanding what was being said. But he wanted to look her in the eye as they were lying in their respective beds and talk to her and engage with her uh,
Mhm.
to the extent that it was possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
That's
yeah,
really
it
sweet.
would not surprise me if he does not last long after her
Yeah.
passing. Um, uh, just they're just such wonderful people.
Yeah.
I wish we had 2 hours to talk about them.
Me too.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.